I bet you're aware that you can't target fat burn, meaning you can't just burn fat from only your belly area. But I also bet that you didn't know that you have certain abdominal muscles specifically responsible for pulling your stomach in and giving you that flat stomach look. In today's video, I want to share these 5 exercises that are going to get you a flat stomach in the quickest time possible. Over the last 10 years of being a personal trainer and working with tons and tons of clients, I've been able to test these exercises out quite a bit. So I do know that they work, you just have to make sure that you're consistent with them. The reason why these exercises work is because they take advantage of the function of the deepest layer abdominal muscle that most people don't even know about. This deep layer of muscle tissue is known as the transverse abdominis, and it wraps around your torso, creating a kind of corset effect. Now, the transverse abdominis has absolutely nothing to do with a six-pack. Your six-pack ab muscle is known as the rectus abdominis, which is the outer layer of your abs. You see plenty of bodybuilders with six-pack abs on top of full-out bellies. There are a lot of causes of this, but this helps illustrate that six-pack abs and a flat stomach isn't the same thing. So now that we know the goal is to work the transverse abdominis, I want to give you guys the best exercises to blast this muscle in just 30 minutes. Some of these exercises are going to specifically target your transverse abdominis, and others will be compound exercises targeting multiple muscle groups, including the transverse abdominis. The first exercise is the standing overhead barbell squat. I know you were expecting something else, not this one. You were expecting me to tell you to get on the ground and start doing some crunches, weren't you? However, by far, one of the best ways to work your transverse abdominis is with overhead barbell squats. By holding a weight over your head and having to squat down while maintaining good form, you're going to have to recruit a lot of your deep layer abdominal muscle fibers to stabilize that movement. Remember, the transverse abdominis muscle's primary function is to stabilize your spine. So pretty much any kind of overhead weight-bearing exercise is going to do wonders for this muscle. Now, if you've never done this exercise before, you definitely don't want to just grab a barbell and hold it over your head and start squatting away, especially if you don't have experience with regular squats. For starters, just use a broomstick over your head. That is literally all you need when first starting out. Obviously, over time, progress the weight, but before you progress, you have to make sure that you're doing the exercise correctly to begin with. Hold the broomstick directly over your head and stick your head through your arms and the broomstick as if you're peeking out of a window. Your hands should be directly over the line of your shoulders, and at certain points, it'll even feel like they're behind your shoulders. That's perfectly fine. When you squat down, sit your butt back, stay on your heels, and keep your knees from passing too far over your toes. Let's move on to the next exercise, but before I do, please do not dismiss the overhead squats. It actually bothers me that I haven't mentioned this exercise nearly as much as I would want to, because overhead squats exemplify the meaning of core strength training. Moving on, the next exercise is one that you guys all know, the plank. But as soon as you can, I want you to start progressing this exercise with weights. It's very important that when you're doing planks that your body positioning and your weight positioning is correct. So with body positioning, you want your shoulders directly over your elbows. You don't want to be too far forward or too far back. You also want your hips to be in a neutral straight line. So they shouldn't be sagging down to the ground, and your butt shouldn't be in the air as if you're doing a yoga downward dog. The rest is pretty simple. You just hold it for, I recommend, at least 1 minute, but if you can't do 1 minute, do as much as you can and work your way up. Now, once you add a weight, you don't want the weight too high up on your back, because then it's just going to be supported by your arms. You also don't want it too low, because then your legs will be doing all of the work. You want the weight to be sitting pretty much between the bottom of your butt and the arc of your lower back. For the next exercise, we have another overhead movement. The overhead barbell or dumbbell press, believe it or not, is another excellent way to work the transverse abdominis. You would grab the barbell or the dumbbells and press straight over the line of your shoulder over your head. When you come to the top, again, you want to look through the imaginary window that we created between your arms and the bar. Do your best to keep your core tight and not arc your lower back. If you feel too much pressure on your lower back, lower the weight load. Seated overhead presses without a back support, so sitting upright on a flat bench, for example, that will also work the transverse abdominis to the same effect. The next exercise you're going to want to do is the stability ball crunch. Again, since the main purpose of the transverse abdominis is spinal stability, the stability ball is going to help you challenge that stability, which is perfect. To do this exercise, you want to take a seat on the ball and roll your butt down as you walk your feet forward. Make sure that the arc of your lower back is on the ball while your shoulder blades are still hanging slightly off the ball. Lower yourself with your hands touching the sides of your head and your chin upwards towards the ceiling until your back bends over the ball and then come back up. Remember, we're aiming for a crunch, not a sit-up, so stop at around 60 degrees and go right back down to keep the tension on your abs the whole time. You can progress in this exercise by adding a weight behind your head to make it more challenging when you're ready for that. For the last exercise, we have one that looks ridiculously simple, but if you do it at the end of your ab workout, it'll definitely be super effective. Also, if your core is weak, you can do this exercise first to activate your deep layer abdominal muscle fibers. This one is called the drawing in maneuver, but there are a bunch of different ways to do this, and most of them are ineffective and wrong. The way to effectively do this is by getting on all fours with your weight evenly distributed between your hands and your knees. A lot of drawing in maneuvers are done laying flat on your back, but what this does is it creates a form of resistance in the movement. By being on all fours, your stomach is getting pulled to the ground by gravity, which will act as resistance for the entire movement. To do this movement, you want to draw your belly button and your abs in. Hold for 5 to 20 seconds and then expand them back out. Now, if you combine all of these exercises into one flat stomach workout and superset it correctly, you will get this whole thing done in just 30 minutes. A superset just means that you're doing 2 sets of different exercises back to back with no break. So I want you to superset overhead squats with the drawing in maneuver, which means you would do 10 reps of the overhead squats, immediately followed by 10 reps of the drawing in maneuver, and then take a 1 to 2 minute break. Then repeat for 3 sets. Same thing with overhead barbell presses. You would superset with planks, and then finally finish off with 3 sets of weighted crunches on the stability ball. In total, with breaks, this should just take you about 30 minutes. Also, you could just sprinkle these exercises into your routine rather than just doing them all in one day as one workout. That about wraps it up. I really hope this video has helped you guys out. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can be notified whenever I release new tips and tricks just like this. Also, if you want a done-for-you ab program, you can visit my website, gravitytransformation.com. We have tons of programs on there. But other than that, I will see you guys soon. Pump it.